Senator Kelly Ayotte of New Hampshire. She serves on the Homeland Security Committee and the Armed Services Committee. Senator Ayotte, thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate it. So you were just briefed. What's the latest on the investigation in terms of whether or not Rahami was acting alone?
Well, that's being investigated right now. I mean, if you look at the multiple devices in New York and New Jersey, and obviously the big question is, was he acting alone? And I think there are real questions about that, just the distance between those places. He could have done it alone, but it's really important if there's somebody else out there that we learn that right away. And also, I think big questions about, did he have any connections in Afghanistan when he traveled there? As you know, Afghanistan not only has the Taliban, it does have members of ISIS, and then it has other groups like the Haqqani Network.
And some incredible police work done not only in Linden, New Jersey and New York City, but also that off-duty police officer we saw foiling the stabbing in the St. Cloud, Minnesota mall.
Absolutely amazing. It really shows you our police are not only on the front lines on crimes, but terrorism, and incredible work by the police here. I think really brings home, some of the discussion we've had about the police, making sure that we support them and really include them and make sure that they have the tools that they need when it comes to addressing terrorism.
Is there any information about whether or not Rahami was on the radar of counterterrorism officials or law enforcement at all?
Well, what we know so far is apparently was not on any terror watch lists. And we do know with his trips to Afghanistan that there's always an interview process coming in. The question is, what was done there? How thorough was that? And I think you've got to go back to Afghanistan and figure out who did he communicate with there. We know he's from Afghanistan, but again, number of groups in Afghanistan that I would want to know, did he have any ties to these groups or connections that bringing, some of that ideology, including there's ISIS in Afghanistan, unfortunately.
I guess I wonder, given what we know that he was interviewed by authorities on his way back, and
Right.
that happened also with the San Bernardino killer's wife was interviewed. Are these interviews thorough enough, or is it one of these things where it's just you can't stop everything?
Well, I have to say I've strongly supported better vetting. And, we've had votes on that in the Senate. It's kind of been blocked by the Senate Democrats. I think that needs to be reevaluated.
Like what do you mean by better vetting?
So we've actually had extra layers of steps that you'd have to go through before you could be brought here. The interview process, I don't think is thorough as it should be. And we need to see what happened here. How was the interview conducted? Whether that's any piece to this. But it's clear to me that more strenuous vetting of people who come here is important, and I would hope we would take steps to do that.
The nominee of your party, Donald Trump, said that one of the reasons that this type of thing happens is because police feel like they can't go into neighborhoods and they can't ask questions. Is that your impression? Is there a problem? Are police not able to do the job that we need them to do?
Well, I think that we need to give our law enforcement the tools that they need, and that means they have to be able to obviously ask questions in neighborhoods and find out if things are suspicious, and we need people to come forward.
Do they not have
Well,
those?
I think sometimes, we've had this discussion where I think police do feel some of them right now at the moment, they need our support to understand that we're behind them. One other point I want to make is that we need to give the FBI also tools. We had a vote on a bill that Senator McCain introduced that I supported to make sure that the FBI can use national security letters to get electronic communication records like they can for bank records and phone records. Having been a prosecutor myself, I could get them in average criminal cases. That vote failed in the Senate. So there's some basic tools we need to get the FBI and our frontline law enforcement on this, that needs to be acted on right away.
All right, Senator Kelly Ayotte of New Hampshire, thanks so much for stopping by. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Jake.